Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae, also known as Wildbow. You can read Worm in its original format by visiting parahumans.wordpress.com or donate to Wildbow's Patreon at patreon.com/wildbow. This story isn't intended for young or sensitive readers. Readers who are on the lookout for trigger warnings are advised to give Worm a pass. For a complete list, check the description for all of Worm's trigger warnings.
Brockton Bay. Do you know where your kids are at school? Are they hanging out with supervillains? The answer might surprise you.
You can say in this case, look what the cat drug in. This Taylor's out there promoting drugs, y'all.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say what the fox
referencing?
dragged in and bring in Reynard into this.
Yes, Reynard. Yeah. It is a dumb name. I'm sorry, Reynard. I don't know what it means.
Not? No, it's Reynard the fox. It's the god, the trickster god.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
I'm sorry. If you've watched, no. I actually know this because of Lev Grossman's The Magicians that then was turned into a TV show. Phenomenal books, phenomenal show. He's in there. He's a total dick and a terrible person, but you know.
I don't know why, but Reynard in the books. Well, I know why, but utterly disgusted me. One of the worst things I've ever read.
Yeah. Truly.
I've actually read worse stuff. I feel
like Bonesaw.
Bonesaw's
pretty bad.
I'm not going to go into specifics, but I've read worse stuff. This one, for some reason, just
it's
hit different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Same.
Did not like it.
on
Anyways.
Brockton Bay Book Club, reviewing other books.
Reviewing Lev Grossman's The Magicians.
Magicians, that's the one where they turn into bunnies to have sex, right?
Oh,
yes,
actually,
you are correct.
Well, okay. Technically, no. Technically,
bunnies.
Technically, they start as geese, and then they become foxes in the Arctic tundra.
I thought in the books they are just all foxes.
Well, they fly down as geese.
Yes. And they're also not allowed to talk the entire time.
Yes, they their mouths basically get glued closed.
What the heck?
It's actually a phenomenal show and books, actually.
That is funny. I was going to say that's funny because geese, according to Zeus, those were his favorite animal to pretend to be when he's finding women.
Forkin.
That would be Zeus's favorite.
Geese?
Wasn't that one of them? Wasn't one of them a goose?
He would be a goose.
Probably.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think maybe I thought it was an eagle, but a goose.
Here's the thing. Much like Loki, what hasn't he transformed into
That's
or
true.
fox?
It's true.
Anyways.
Demonetized immediately.
Always a strong opening here on the Brockton Bay Book Club.
Right. We come in swinging.
We are
much like Zeus.
Oh my God.
I don't even know how to transition this.
Oh my God. I love it so much.
Oh, and we're back, everybody. Welcome to R23.
Oh, after that lovely ad break. Right after the goose fucking and...
No, I just saved us, Alan.
Welcome back to the Brockton Bay Book Club. I'm your host, Alan.
Wow.
And joining with me today are these chucklefucks.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Hannah Chucklefuck number 2. Nice to be here.
Listen, I'm a dad that's Mr. Chucklefuck to you, sir.
Mr. Chucklefuck.
Yes.
Great intro. We're doing so good.
Wow.
First episode, you guys.
Anybody want to go next?
Great. I feel like they know who we are at this point. Like if our listeners don't know who the fuck we are, we've done a very bad job.
I guess if you don't know by now.
That's true. I'm Hannah. That over there is Alan, Jacob, Michael, our lovely producer, Nick.
On the horn,
and Nick. And we're Nick. Here and we're talking about drone, and we're figuring shit out.
We are on some juice today, I'll tell you that.
On something.
Arc 23 out of 30. We're so close. Or 31.
We're so close.
That's crazy.
It feels like we're also so far away because we're so close to the time skip.
Yeah.
It's, it feels like we still have so far to go.
I'm about to time skip out of my body. We don't hurry up and finish this before the end of the year.
We'll do that.
I'm not optimistic.
We'll see. We are in our 23.
Yes,
we are.
We most certainly are.
Fun little arc.
Do we want to go straight into it? What would you like me to do?
I think so.
We could do first impressions, or we could,
Yeah, sure.
Speaking of, if we don't know what we're doing by this long at this point, what?
What are we doing?
How do we do this podcast again?
We haven't. We took a small.
Oh my gosh! It's mass wormnesia.
We've completely forgotten
the wormnesia crazy right now.
The wormnesia.
Completely missed the point.
I love it so much.
Yeah, let's first impressions. What's everyone think about this arc?
This one felt really quick, but not in a bad way. Just I don't know. It just felt really quick.
Relative. Yeah.
It was also short, I think. It was pretty short.
It is.
Not a lot of interludes. Pretty straightforward.
6 whole chapters.
Yeah.
That's pretty short as far as most of these arcs go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love seeing Taylor in her getting introduced to everybody, dealing with all these people.
First day of school moments. I love it.
Very first day of school. I really enjoy that. I don't enjoy I don't know, a lot of the geography, and this has some of the highest and lowest chapters for me. 2 of these chapters are actually probably my bottom tier chapters of the entire arc. I'm sure we'll get into that later.
I'm sure we will.
I'm sorry, not arc. Did I say arc? I meant all of Worm.
All of Worm. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
That's pretty low.
It is kind of
That's
funny.
Some bold statements there.
Yeah, it's weird. This is one of those kind of I would almost say world building arcs. And as someone who likes to read almost exclusively world building, I couldn't finish all of Game of Thrones, but I did sit down and read Fire and Blood in one go. And the Silmarillion and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love reading the minutia of a world and random characters that appear for one sentence and then fade away. All of that is so intriguing to me. But when you step back and read the story through, it does feel like a bit of you hit a bit of a wall at some points. And I think this happens a little bit in this arc, not the whole thing, but there are definitely moments where I'm okay, let's go. Come on. What are we doing here? We're explaining the rules for a board game for
yeah.
20 minutes.
Too long.
Yeah, it definitely felt like an in-between arc. And I think part of that may just be the pacing of Worm. If we'd had more arcs like this, it might not have felt so out of place. But going from high intensity action to okay, now we're just going to chill for a bit, I guess. It does feel a bit jarring and slow comparatively. Which is probably why it's shorter too, so that way you get through that faster, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe so.
And again, not to say I don't like the chapters. I was very invested when I was writing down the rules for Weaver Dice because I was oh, that's right. This is where all this happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love, we'll get into it.
Let's do the summary.
I got a lot of notes.
Well, I guess I think the easiest way is going to be to just do chapter at a time since they seem to be pretty self-contained. So chapter 1, Taylor gets pulled out of prison to meet with the Protectorate and the ward leaders and figure out what's next for her cape career now that she's officially Weaver. And then goes out and kicks the Adepts' asses with butterflies and the limitations that have been now placed upon her.
Mm-hmm. Man, there's right off the bat when they're talking about what they could end up doing with her, like, oh yeah, we could use you and we could stick your ass like guarding the Simurgh in Madison, Wisconsin.
That's always a good time.
Yeah.
I love how they set up for this chapter like we're about to go through a series of tests and like evaluations for her powers. I got so excited about that, about like we're going to test the limits of her power. We're going to see what she's truly capable of. I was like so here for it. And then I can't remember who it is actually butts in and is like, yeah, we didn't come all this way to like watch her take a bunch of tests. Like throw her in the fucking field. Let's go. And I got so sad because I just wanted her to do like all the tests because I love a good like personality test. I love a good Myers-Briggs. Throw her in there. Like I want to know where like what Taylor excels at, what her boundaries are, what her limits are. And I was like so ready for all of that testing. And then it was like, no, just throw her in the field. Like, oh, okay. I guess we could do that too.
Yeah.
Not quite as fun. That's for sure.
I think I really enjoy the brain part of it of like what makes Taylor's power tick, and like by them finding out, like assessing her, we can then have a better insight into her power. And I really wanted that and then didn't get it. And I'm a little sad, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that, and everybody loves a good BuzzFeed quiz for themselves, right?
Yes! Oh my God! Okay, I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it out loud. But yes, no, I think about like those are such fun little tests, and I wanted Taylor to do one.
Yeah, I understand why they didn't do it.
Like, you know, we got to keep the movement moving, and I get that. Like, that makes sense. And then they want to see her with the limitations. So, like, it makes sense why they did it, but I'm still a little sad about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I do think it sort of confirms Taylor's initial gripes with the PRT, like even all the way back to the first couple arcs where she has a conversation with Armsmaster, and she sort of gets the inkling, even though she's initially trying to impress them, but kind of builds that like, man, they move so slowly, they do things so by the book, like we just need to get out there and do the right thing. And then here she's now officially joining them, and it's that same thing where it's like, here's all the rules, you got to do this, you can't use all your scary bugs, you got to go, like it's a whole bunch of just like PR and guidelines, and it's such a contrast to the way that she wants to do things. Like nothing's changed despite everything she's done. Nothing's changed.
Well, and we'll get to this in a little bit, but I do think that, you know, we've talked a lot about Taylor being an unreliable narrator. I think that part of what this arc functions really well as is sort of knocking Taylor down a peg in terms of her own ego.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more later when she has her conversation with Glenn and all of that, because that's a much deeper conversation there.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that this is a really cool way for us to be like, you know, we've gotten hints of it, but now that she's in the hero world, for people to be like, oh, so this is how everybody views you. Nobody really wants you on their team.
Yeah.
We're just all kind of accepting that this is the way it has to be. And that, I think that's good for Taylor, right? She kind of thinks to herself, I can solve every problem in the world. And it might be a flaw of her character. It could also be a flaw of the writing, because she does tend to be right, like we've said. But
right.
You know.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing worse than when Taylor's right.
Yeah. She's like, I don't want to be right, but I keep being right.
Yeah. Yeah, I like seeing that quite a bit. And that like she's getting so frustrated with like the limit, like with the butterflies. Like they tell her, okay, you can't use any scary bugs because that'll, we're thinking about reputation here. And she's like, fuck reputation, man. Like my whole reputation is around the scary bugs. Like, and now I can't use any of them. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? It's like butterflies. And he's like, yeah, butterflies are perfect.
Butterflies are perfect.
Are you kidding me? Like, what am I supposed to do with butterflies? But she makes it work. Like, once again, if I were in Taylor's situation, I would find myself so frustrated and like wouldn't be able to come up with half the stuff that she does. Like, she makes it work for her, even with these, really obnoxious limitations that get put on her. And I like that. More limitations. Push her to her limit.
I like that, but I also like it as a limitations put on Wildbow. He's got to figure out.
I mean, that's just that's classic writing stuff. Is like writing yourself into a corner to improve your own writing, to push your characters. Like it's good. It's excellent writing. Once again, Hannah is incredibly jealous.
I think it might be misremembering. I think he talks about that. Or he wrote about that in some Q&As or something like that, where a lot of Worm was him writing himself purposely into corner.
Yeah.
Am I misremembering? That sounds right.
No.
You're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is great because you said, it's pretty. I think it's pretty obvious when he writes into those corners, and then seeing him write himself out is really fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Once again, because he's one of the few people that in his story, I genuinely go, oh, yeah, I would have never come up with that. But also that is something that like is not out of the realm of possibility. It's just really smart. It's not some bullshit. It's not, stupid simple of like, well, of course they're going to do that. I genuinely am like stumped on some of the stuff and just excited to see how he pulls it off. Man, things I was excited for. Tecton and Clockblocker. Speaking up.
I love
and of course,
Clockblocker.
Clockblocker's so great.
Do we have to have a pronunciation battle over Tecton?
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 Tecton.
Tecton.
Like tectonic plates.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I kind of agree with Jacob on that
plates.
One. Tectonic plates make sense to me.
Tecton.
We'll just call it both and agree to pretend that the other person said it the way we want him to.
Yep. And Miss Yamada shows up. That's what more can I ask for?
It hurts.
That's true. We do like Miss Yam. Miss.
Yep.
You almost got me. Miss Yamada.
It gets you every time.
It does get me. Ooh, baby. It's a touchy one. That Missy.
See, in my notes, I also have, yay, Jouster. Yeah, Jouster. Maybe shut the fuck up, dumbass. She killed your number one. Look at her. She is now the LeBron.
Jouster is the New York leader of New York, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
He's a dick.
I'm just like, I don't see what's so special. Like, motherfucker. he doused your number one. Like,
I'm gonna look up Jouster. What is this? He's got a lame power, doesn't he?
Being a little bitch and riding his little air moped. That's what he's doing.
His little air moped. Oh my god.
No, he has kind of a cool power, if I remember right. It's like he can basically extend. He's kind of, if I remember right, I think it's like a Jack Slash like power where he can kind of extend. Oh, no, it's not. He moves super fast up to people to stab them.
Yeah, he's
and then he charge it with certain stuff.
Really big spear kind of thing, if I remember right, but I'm not 100%.
A lance, even?
A lance, yeah. Something I don't know. I feel like somebody at some point in time in history probably used one of those to like poke people off of horses. I don't know.
Probably. Just le poke.
And now we're left with this fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to, speaking of Jouster being a little dick. Jouster, don't just out Flechette like that. Come on.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like Taylor was being all careful about that, and he was like, "Oh, she's gay," and we're like, "Jesus, dude,
shut up, man!
Shut the fuck up,
bro."
I forgot for a second that it wasn't 2002, but still,
Like he didn't even hesitate. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, because she's banging the chick, right? The doll chick."
Oh, she one of the gays.
Like, dude,
Jouster, shut the fuck up.
I don't know if she's out. Leave her alone.
Listen, Jouster, clearly your Lance is, making up for something there, but
always has been.
Small peepee.
Thank you.
As a reminder, he is a minor.
I'm sorry.
Just gonna remind
you.
You
have such a fine way with words there,
It was good. Don't apologize. Never apologize.
Oh my God.
And Clock Blocker over there just laughing it up about the butterfly girl.
Oh, I love that though.
It's so good.
So funny. It's so funny.
That is one of the best parts of it, yeah.
It's fun to see Clock Blocker. Like, we've seen him before, but he's always been on, like, very opposing sides to Taylor in the sense of, like, either they're fighting each other or they're, like, even in the Echidna fight where they're sort of working together, they're still very much at odds. But I don't know, it feels like a different kind of camaraderie here, which I really, really like. And
he's like, he's in on the joke, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he knows her enough now that like you could almost consider them friends. And like, and the whole butterfly thing. And then, he's dying laughing because he knows she hates it. And she's like, yeah, I know that you know that I hate this. Like I love that. Like the relationship that's built over all this time. It's like potentially ramping up to like being actual friends is I like that a lot.
Yeah, definitely friendlier than everybody else.
Is it in this fight with the Adepts that he uses a weapon that's clearly a modified version of the line? Like he fires the line.
He does, but he tried to use that on Taylor all the way back in the cafeteria. Like he was lining up and like holding his hand and like trying to shoot some fingertip tasers out. Yeah. But they were gonna, do the thing. I was like, boy, you think you're gonna have to get up pretty early in the morning to pull that one on the master that taught you that trick.
Who taught you how to do that?
I'm sorry, what part of I see everything through my bugs do you not understand? Go back to school. I'm leaving. We're talking about Clock Blocker and him trying to pull a fast one on Taylor back in the day, but now he's using those tricks for good against the Adepts, who may be the biggest pyramid scheme of nerds I've ever met. What the hell, guys? It's like a bunch of live action role players that got superpowers and were just making an MLM out of it.
Yeah, but they bone.
They do fuck. That be true. And they fuck and they don't kill people, which is like cool. But then you get like they're way too into like treating their powers like magic. And you're like, dude, yeah, I mean, it's complicated, but it's not that complicated.
So they're theater kids.
Yeah.
The worst kind of person.
Shut up.
Only slightly less threatening than board game people.
Yeah, do they feel like the group that sits around playing Catan for like 6 hours
in costume?
In costume. Yeah.
With real props.
Okay, there's people who play D&D and then there's people who dress up to play D&D.
Right.
They're the latter.
Yeah.
And we love them all and we are those people. But
I was going to say we are.
Hold on.
Make fun of them.
Do I sometimes? Yes, but I'm going to give them the shit that they and sometimes I rightfully deserve.
That's what exactly what I'm saying.
I don't want the bullying to stop. That's what I'm saying. Like, should I have been bullied more? Maybe. Who's to say?
Yes. The answer
Might have
is
made
yes.
me a better person. I guess we'll never know.
We could bully you now if you'd prefer.
It's not going to happen. Look
Roll
here,
the
nerd.
tapes.
Give me
He
your
has a
milk money.
platform now. He has a platform
I have a
now.
platform.
I was about to say you have all the Allens rallied behind you.
Yeah,
I have
it's
so
true.
many Allens. How many Hannahs are in chat right now? No.
I know. It
Oh.
actually makes me a little
Dang.
Yeah,
sad
Miss
sometimes.
Militia. That's the only Hannah you got.
She's
And
pretty
she's
damn
not,
cool,
and
though.
she's
I do
she's
love
a
her.
Hannah too. She's not even a real Hannah.
I know. It's so
Damn.
Dang, diss track.
Shots
I got-
fired left and right.
I got Jack Slash on my side, so
God damn it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got anyone on mine.
Yeah, me
there's
neither.
no Nick.
You've got
Oh,
Kaiser on your side, Nick.
No,
Yeah.
no,
It's true.
no.
You've got
point.
you've got a couple superhero. Well, no, let's not say superheroes. You got a couple
Superheroes.
capes on your side. A couple groups of capes, actually.
You have a couple of people.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Let's see. Laughing about the butterfly girl. Oh yeah. How does the PRT not talk about triggers and powers with people? Because like Taylor is talking with some of them about powers, and they're like,
what?
What? Now I get that Tattletale has sussed out some of this using her power, but given the amount of time that the PRT has been around, and how, I don't know, the approach they seem to have is sort of like, let's test these powers and work out something with them. They didn't put together that, like, you know, they have Miss Yamada and psychologists on staff. How did they not put together?
I mean,
They already know that your trigger events kind of related to the state of mind. How do they not put together that your state of mind going forward also is tied to your power level? Like,
I mean, like I feel like, not to say that just because, you know, they're capes, they're not incredibly smart or stupid, but like it feels like they haven't spent a ton amount of time around smart people, and we've been very lucky with the fact that we've had Tattletale in our corner for this entire book, like filling in the gaps, telling us what's going on. But like most people knew absolutely jack shit about Cauldron. They knew absolutely jack shit about what was going on. Like,
yeah.
And so like it's not really a surprise that they don't know how powers work. Like they try to keep even trigger events on the DL for the majority of the normies. And so it's like, you know, you don't find out about it until you've had your trigger event. And then it's like, well, you joining the wards? And like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Now I'm a cape, a hero, and I know nothing. Like,
okay.
I'm not really surprised.
I can forgive the Cauldron thing. That's a whole subterfuge espionage thing going on. Like that's not supposed to be known because of like they're actively trying to keep that hidden. But just the powers being connected, like, yeah, haven't you noticed that when you're kind of closer to your trigger event mindset that you do things, you feel like that would come out in therapy or in testing, or like that somebody would have figured that out given everything else they know. But just no, it's like they strictly focused on law enforcement and didn't look at any socio-economic like studies whatsoever.
Again,
well, we also have to look at though that Taylor's situation is unique because one of them, I don't remember if it's in this or another one, but one of them was like, this is only my second fight. I've been in the wards for a month and I've only been in this is my second fight. And so Taylor's been in far more high stress situations.
Yeah, how long is that person? You said that person's been in there for what? A month? 2 months?
A month, about the same amount as Taylor has been.
So that person and Taylor have been doing this the same amount of time, but Taylor has been in 20,000 fights. That person got looked at harshly one time.
I mean,
and
basically,
also,
yeah.
And that was her trigger event, by the way. So,
right,
really.
And people do like there's an understanding behind stress and trauma causing triggers. Like people know that. It's just, I wonder if it's one of those things where it's like the good guys aren't trying to advertise that so that people don't go out doing terrible, horrible things trying to trigger or things like that. Because I mean, think back to the merchants doing their whole mosh pit trying to force triggers. So there's an awareness that the more traumatizing a scenario is, the more likely there is to be a trigger or something.
Yeah, but once you're in it, I'm saying, like, obviously you keep that, away from the normies so people aren't trying to hurt themselves. But then once you're in it, like, and you're in the program, you think that would come up. I'm just saying this is gross negligence. On their part.
No, I think
I
you're right,
the
though.
gross negligence.
Yeah. It feels like, because like information is clearly power. And if you want to keep your underlings, your brand new capes, teenage capes, who are not have their brain finished being developed, who have just triggered and are now suddenly in the wards, it makes sense that you wouldn't tell them this kind of stuff. And also, like, no offense to anyone who's a teenager or younger than 30, your brain is still developing. Like, your brain's still figuring itself out. And they want to be able to, like, tell you what to do and you do it like a soldier. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to follow orders. You're not supposed to use your brain. You're not supposed to think. And that's what they want. And then you grow up and you're a good little hero who works for the good guys and you don't use your brain cells. And, like, that's what they want.
I don't know.
It makes sense to me.
I don't think it's that bad, but
I don't think there's like, yes, we shall keep the information from them. We're going to make our hero soldier. Like, no, I think it's just like someone went, they don't need to know. They'll figure it out one day, or we'll tell them one day, or like, we'll have this conversation when they're older.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with chalking this up to just gross negligence instead. Yeah. In my mind, they just haven't bothered to figure it out yet because they suck. Which, like, to be fair, I work in trees, and the majority. Well, let me cook. Let me cook. Damn it.
All right.
Elsa chat.
Oh my God.
No. So I work in trees, and the majority of tree-based science has been essentially biology, like studying trees in terms of like the ecosystem, and maybe studying trees in terms of nutrients and how they grow. But then you get into like the physics of trees and like there's just more stuff about trees. And all of those fields, like all of the science that we have from that is from the last 30 years. And is constantly evolving because we just now decided that was worth studying, like as a field. Huh. It's so odd that, like, we decided after a while that turns out maybe don't pour cement in your tree if there's a hole in it. Sometimes the trees have a natural defense system that, they'll quarantine and cut that off and heal themselves up if you don't stick anything in there. And common thought was just stick concrete in there. And yeah, don't do that, and that's something that like is in like, the 4th edition handbook that was put out in like 2014, as opposed to, previous thinking being like, oh yeah, if you see a hole in a tree, take some great stuff and fill her up. Like it's wild how much we are learning about trees now. Because we just didn't bother studying.
Fascinating.
All that to say, come on, people, it's powers. You've had 30 years. Figure it the fuck out.
That's fine.
I like to think it's also a meta commentary on the way audiences consume superhero content these days. Where like, who asks about how people get powers and how they work and anything like that? Like, look at Marvel, look at DC, look at Invincible. Like, everything is just, there's Spider-Man. He was bit by a spider. Okay, good enough for me. Like, it's just, it works.
You know what it could be too? Just this thought occurred to me as well, is that most of these people are wards, right? Like, Miss Yamada puts on or shows that she knows a lot more later. So honestly, you know what it is? They've probably been in classes that have talked about this, but how many details do you remember from like high school biology? right? And like, yes, even if it's personally relevant to you, like, could you point to your body where your spleen is at this exact moment? You know, I totally can see too. Like half of them are just like their leaders, their captains are like, oh my god, you just took Parahumans 101. Why do you not know this? I don't know.
How do you not remember?
I could see it that way too.
Funny way it could go too.
Yeah, so they fight the adepts, and I will now introduce my what the fuck Taylor moment, which is gagging people in order to break
to wake
13th
them
hour's
up.
power.
Yeah.
Why the
it's
first
disgusting.
Off, why the fuck would that work?
I mean, because it triggers your gag reflex, like it snaps you out of it.
Which does what? Like they're not asleep.
They're zoned out.
I guess
she's trying to break them out of whose power? Is that August
13th hour?
No, 13th hour.
August Prince is from Las Vegas. He's with Bambina's group. This is 13th hour with the adepts.
Oh yeah.
We're still
That's right. Sorry, we're in number 1. Sorry.
Yeah, we're still in chapter 1.
Moving a little slow.
I will say, full disclosure. Full disclosure, I listened to this one rather than reading it, so I feel like my memory is a bit more fuzzy.
That's fair.
The worm minch is real.
Called it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I did.
Wait, what did you call Jacob?
I was like, half our podcast is on the first. All of our episodes, half our podcast is half the time is on the first chapter, and the rest of the time is the rest of the chapters.
It's where the majority of my notes are. I can't help it.
So it's Alan's fault.
It's Alan.
Okay.
This is trash.
I'm not gonna name names, but if you want to throw yourself under the bus, I mean, I'll run over you.
I'll run over you and then back up, baby.
Yeah. It's always good to have a scapegoat.
Yeah,
also, not in this chapter, Nick.
Also, not in this chapter, right? Damn it!
I think
and it's not even in the next chapter. You're thinking of Satyr, the other goat man.
The other goat, of course.
I do think to attempt to get back on track. I do think that part of it was her just trying to see whatever would work. Like she wasn't quite sure, trying to break out of the trance. And so it was just like, shove a bug down your throat, see what happens. And,
that's always one of my first things that I always try. Just hitting that gaggle reflex with the old cucaracha.
Cucaracha?
Getting the old cockroach down your throat.
Isn't it
to activate your gag reflex.
Again, though, I feel like that's just the answer, right? If there's somebody's being mind controlled, you just hit them over the head real hard. No brain damage.
I'm assuming this, like at best, my justification for this is like it's like the kick in Inception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think that's exactly what it is. It's like a little drop. Yeah.
All right. Other than that, and the fact that 13th hour used to be a ward. I don't have anything else. But yeah.
There's also the mystery sniper, right? That was just kind of a hint that somebody's.
That's also the next chapter.
Oh my god.
That's also Vegas.
Calm down. We'll get
I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna stop talking now. Goodbye. You'll hear from me in chapter 5.
Okay, so I don't know if this is true, but there's like the wards give off strong like, hey, while you're here, you're not allowed to do drugs. You're not allowed to drink alcohol. You're not allowed to fuck your hot teammates. And and then everybody's just moaning through this. So my guess is that the adepts who are out here poaching heroes, as they said, were like, yo, we're superpowered, but we fuck. And instantly Standstill apparently was like, ooh, count me in, and went over and became 13th hour. That is my headcanon for that.
I'm sorry, what's their name?
13th hour?
Nope. What's the team's name?
The Adepts?
Okay, why are they the Adepts and not the Adepts? Like if you're adept at something?
I think it is.
Because it sounds stupider when you say it like
because,
that.
No, because It actually is an English language thing. As a former English teacher,
yes,
okay.
Nick.
it's the difference between a noun and an adjective or an adverb. Sorry, nouns are pronounced one way. Adverb forms of words are pronounced another way. I'm trying to remember. There's a bunch of examples of this though. But you are an adept, but you are adept at something.
Oh.
There's a bunch of words in the English language that are like that. I just can't recall them off the top of my head. So
that was good.
No. That was a phenomenal example. I love that.
You taught us well.
I need
Now-
more teacher Nick.
Yeah, Nick, if you could,
Former.
could you please explain the difference between then and than?
Oh,
wait, then and than?
yeah.
E-N
Like,
and
and
A-N.
then you went to the store, and pizza is better
Rather
than
Wait.
tacos.
Well, then, I mean, if you want me to, then is just in reference to time, and than is in reference to comparison.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great way of putting it.
Okay. Good.
All
You've been
right.
taught.
This has
have
been
anything else?
English
This has
lessons
been
with
the
Nick.
teacher's corner with Nick.
On to
There you
23.2.
go.
Hannah, take us
Okay.
away.
Moving on to the next
Next
chapter.
favorite
Second
chapter.
Woo! Drink some
We're doing great.
podcast
We're doing
juice.
real good. We're doing real good. Okay. All right. So moving on. Chapter 2. Weaver accompanies the LA wards to pick up Pretender. And then comes in conflict with Bambina and her team as they try and break Pretender out. And it works. Unfortunately, there's a little skerfuffle, and Pretender is whisked away by Cauldron.
One of the highlights of this whole arc is the world building for me. Specifically, the description of each city and the capes within and how they
Yes.
operate.
I
And we see
freaking love it.
4 big examples of this. One is, of course, our New York wards, how if they can't fly, then they have flying bikes, essentially, that get them around, because that's what they need, because they need upward mobility and to get to the city really quickly up and down. So like they need, the speeder bikes. And then in Vegas, you get how they're very like practically villains already, even when they're heroes. So like everything makes sense there with how, Vegas is this whole very, I use the word subterfuge a lot, but it's a subterfuge culture of them trying to outplay each other and double agent each other, I imagine. And then we get to India and we talk about their hot cold system, and then the Yangban with their very collective power system. And it's just really fun and interesting to see all of those different styles of heroing explained outside of the normal, there's the hero, like the Justice League setup, basically.
Yeah. And Yangban is just a great name.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to the Yangban. I got some points on
Yangban.
them.
There's no need to
Young
be
man.
down. I said young bun.
About where I thought you were going with that, Nick. You hit me with the Yangban, and I went Arrested Development.
I did too. Yeah, on
Yangban.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also went Arrested
Yes.
Development. No, I agree. I think this is a lot of other superhero worlds feel very monolithic, I guess, in like no matter where you are, superheroes are the same.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe Black Widow has a Russian accent sometimes, and then you're like, okay, she's from Russia.
Mhm.
But everything else is like universal across the planet. Well, Worm really Wildbow does a good job of really making it feel like, I mean, even just within the US, like different teams have different personalities and styles and approaches, but then globally it's even more. Yeah, it's a really fun bit of world building for sure.
Yeah. Also, the new dragon vehicle that we see here, the Kulshedra, I believe. Had to look up that name because this is another one. Sonic demon from Albanian mythology. Usually described as a huge multi-headed female serpentine dragon. The archetype of darkness and evil. The opposing force to Drangu, the archetype of light and good. Cassandra is believed to spit fire, cause droughts, storms, flooding, earthquakes, and other natural disasters against mankind. Very, in D&D, very, what's the dragon queen called again? And
Tiamat.
Tiamat. Very Tiamat in D&D vibes.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I do appreciate the bit of lore there. That's very fun.
Yeah, always love a good dragon.
A dragon would be a nerd.
We've definitely established that for sure.
Yeah.
How many MMOs do you think she was playing?
Yeah,
all
you
of
don't
them.
have.
All of them simultaneously.
Yeah.
Say everyone's
Do
seen
you think
her.
she made an MMO just to play with other people? Is that like the first thing she did?
Listen, that's why she's been quiet so recently, right? She's just been in this deep dungeon raid with her WoW guild.
I was gonna say DLC just dropped for WoW, a new expansion pack, and
it's almost actually the right time frame for that too. It's right about that time when World of Warcraft was just about to get popular.
Hold on, what was that? 2000? No. It was popular before then. What is this? 2014, I think.
Because I was playing it when I was about 14, 15, so that would have been.
Wait, hold on.
Not to.
Does Worm take place in 2011,
Around
but
the
it's
same
published
time.
in 2014?
It was published. It takes place 2011, published between 2011 and 2013. But yeah, 2011 to 2012.
Warcraft
expansions.
Yeah,
we're gonna get to the bottom of this.
I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. See, yep. That would have been Miss Pandaria in 2012 and Cataclysm in 2010.
Miss Pandaria was a really big expansion.
Cataclysm was in 2010.
Yeah, because I guess I started.
Oh wait,
playing...
no, I've got my years all wrong. Oh God, I'm so old.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I played World of Warcraft the year before the first expansion pack came
it's okay.
out.
Let's move on. It's okay. Gotcha, bitch. I played it. Yeah, I got myself because I'm thinking 2012, back when I was in high school.
No.
Anyway,
all right.
We get all our chapter 2 notes out.
I have only a month? ? Same. What is that from? What is
that what we were talking about earlier?
Maybe they've only been in the wards for a month.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, which Nick is this chapter?
Yes, thank you.
Also this chapter.
Oh, we do get Pretender being captured.
Yeah.
Not captured, but yeah.
In transport.
In
transport.
And they're transporting it. Aren't they transporting it with Alexandria's old team?
Yes. Yes?
They're
all extra grumpy about it.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure because they're I forget. Are they? Yeah. She's because it's the Los Angeles team
to record an episode.
The Los Angeles team is with her to go pick them up from the Las Vegas team.
Okay.
Confused.
Yeah.
And so they go and they do that. And Taylor's not even in prison a week.
Yeah.
Talk about getting off easy.
Well, she's a pretty heavy hitter, and clearly she's gotten away with a lot to the point where instead of just tossing her in the birdcage and being yeah, we're done, they want to keep her. They wouldn't be negotiating all this stuff with her if they didn't. So they want her to feel, the repercussions a little bit. So she's, living in jail, but it's not anywhere near a high security enough that actually matters. It's just all to push her buttons and see if she can follow the rules.
Yeah. And then they get ambushed by that. I hate the phrase, a pseudo child.
Childish Bambina.
Bambina. Yes, Hannah. That is a good one.
That's all I could think of when I was reading it. It was like that's the vibe. But she says something at one point about like, yeah, my mom says that I have to work on my image. I was like, your mom? Like what?
Because she's basically Honey Boo Boo.
Yeah, it's
horrifying.
Who's that?
But she's forever stuck as Honey Boo Boo.
Yeah,
even though she's
horrifying.
Older.
It is unfortunate to the limit. Poor thing.
Saying something. No, not poor thing. Because at one point in time, she ends something and she's like talking about what she's going to do to somebody. And then she ends it with her feet. It's like, not a feet person.
Well, she's so like part of Pretender's whole thing is that he can like become, I guess he can like become other people. Is that part of his power?
It's not explained until later.
It's well, from this chapter, because basically Bambina is saying that Pretender has, in payment for having her help break him out, is he will turn basically like, I don't know, turn himself into or have some high celebrity. I can't remember who it is. And that's what she's saying. She's like, I'm going to basically fuck this celebrity. And these are all the things I'm going to do to them. It's like, oh no, like, oh my God. Like that's what she's talking about when Taylor tunes her out, and thank God we don't hear the whole thing. But
yeah.
But yeah.
I think that was more just Wildbow being like, Taylor tunes her out because God, I don't want to write this.
I don't want to write that. We don't want to read it. Thank you. I appreciate you, Wildbow. Good life choice.
So yeah, there's that.
There's that.
This entire thing, the entire arc, or not arc, my brain's failing me. This entire chapter is the very first time that this chapter has actually stuck with me. I have read and listened to this chapter, I don't know, 4 times now. And for the life of me, like my brain, this is one of those, my brain just slides right off it. I cannot. This was the first time I understood what was going on, but it leads me to, I think, Wildbow's biggest weakness in his writing, and that is geography. I think he does a really poor job of trying to depict where people are spatially and what's going on spatially, and it doesn't matter. And it's he like tries to write it, and I just don't care because that doesn't matter. Like, I think all the way back to the warehouse fight with Kaiser and stuff. Like, I remember the many times I've read that, I didn't realize how much of that fight takes place outside the warehouse, and like where people are on railings and stuff inside the warehouse, because it's just it really doesn't matter. And I feel like it doesn't. Maybe it's just me, but I don't feel like he does a great job of having his location matter all that much, even though he wants to stress it.
Yeah, would you say geography? You're talking like specifically like location description and space.
Yeah, like hear me out. The Coil getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
How many before this reading time remember where he actually got shot?
I always thought it was a field.
I always thought it was a field out back behind some abandoned building.
That is also what I thought. Yeah. But it's on the beach.
It's on the beach, out in the open. Now, does that matter? Does where he died matter?
Not really.
Not at all. No. But like we took time to get there. He took time to describe it, I guess. I don't honestly remember. And like another one is Taylor inside of the burning building. That is such a slapdash. I do not spatially do not vibe with that entire sequence.
I personally loved that, but you know,
I love the event. I do not like how she is moving through space in that sequence. It's another one of those.
Like it worked fine.
Yeah.
Specifically in the burning building, but I get what you're trying to say though. That like spatially how things are and how they're described doesn't necessarily meet your expectation for the scene. I get that. I think I just tend to not care as much. I tend to care way more about like the individual capes and like how their powers are working within the situation. And like honestly, I don't really care about the what's around us as I only care if it's being utilized in the fight. Like if we're putting up buildings and Siberians walking through them and stuff like that, then I care. But otherwise, like I don't really care about the location, like the visual aspect of where they are, because I'm way more interested in like how the capes are operating in that space.
Yeah. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's like that's the more important thing. So like I'm not thinking about that. And we'll get to the Yangban episode is also another one of those where spatially I don't them using their powers to move is more important than them moving from one location to the other location. Like the how they got there is so much more important to me. And it's tough reading those chapters because of how much writing he does put on the moving from place to place. And I just forget all of it because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I never thought about it. That kind of thing doesn't bother me though, personally, because I have such a visual approach to reading that when things aren't described well, I will naturally just fill in the blanks with my own image of what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so when there's less emphasis placed on that, there's just more room for me to construct it the way I want it to look like, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
kind of a little subconscious.
Which is what I'm trying to say is like that's something that every time, like I said, the fact that Coyle got shot on a beach, never thought for a second that he was shot on the beach until this read through. It was all like we talked about. It's always in a field behind an abandoned building. And it's because like brain fills that in. And I think, that's not, I like, it doesn't bother me in terms of most of the time it doesn't bother me because it's just, I find the spatially describing to be boring. So I guess wipe it from my memory while I'm reading. And this is the first time I've been very aware of like, oh yeah, this is boring to read them moving this location.
Interesting. I hadn't really put a lot of conscious thought into it, but I'm gonna think about it a little bit.
Interesting.
I tend to like less vivid description. Is strictly so I can imagine it myself.
Yeah.
But it's
the opposite problem would be ye old J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, Mr.
Where he takes 2 pages to describe a mantelpiece.
Yeah, I still will never get over that mantelpiece. And it's what stops me every time I start and I think about, oh man, I really want to read Lord of the Rings again. And then I pick it up and I get to that mantelpiece, like, I don't know, 12 pages in. And I'm like, nope.
Skip it. Skip the mantelpiece.
If anyone needs public service announcement, if anyone needs some encouragement to reread Lord of the Rings, Andy Serkis's recent audiobooks are an absolute masterpiece.
You know what? I'd probably listen to them.
Brilliant.
I was about to say you should just listen to it, Alan. I think you probably enjoy it a lot more.
Oh yeah,
I've listened to the whole Lord of the Rings again. I'm in through the Hobbit a little bit. It's brilliant. It helps.
Hobbit banger.
Chapter 3.
Was there anything, Nick? I know Nick had a bunch of thoughts on this chapter beforehand. He had thoughts on the shooter. Yeah, thoughts.
Actually, we do need to talk about the sniper, though.
Okay. Yeah. Well, because the sniper and the lady who comes and just wipes out the team to save Pretender. I mean, that's what's her name, right?
Contessa.
Contessa. right? Like it's got to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Was she named, or is it just assumed that she is?
I don't think she's named. Yeah, but that's the assumption. Yeah.
Boogie woogie woogie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't remember exactly because again I was listening to it, so I didn't have time to go back and reread it. Does she kill people? No, not in this scene. She just knocks him out.
Not here.
Not here. Okay.
He's done it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say
she tries. Yeah, she doesn't seem to kill people. She's really good at taking everybody out, though.
Yeah. She just takes everybody out in this. I think I'm confusing it with a Lungs arc where she kills everybody without spilling a drop of blood. So I'm kind of
and then up on the roof, we assume.
Yeah, I gotta say, Bambina, Starlet, and August Prince.
Yeah.
So creepy children are just like at the peak of like terror in many ways for me.
Yeah.
And I say that as a dad with 2 kids.
I was about to say, is that because you have
who are
children?
not creepy? No, they're not creepy. So it's like the perversion of everything I love. But I think in particular, August Prince's power, like I'm imagining like a 10-year-old, right? Like you think to yourself, okay, 10-year-olds, they're not that strong. And yet his ability to basically nullify your willingness to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just like, because he's shorter than you, because he's stuck as a 10-year-old or is a 10-year-old, just like pushes you over and like crawls up you and grabs your throat. I'm like,
Yeah.
The vibes are all wrong here.
They're all wrong.
Yeah. When I said choke me, I didn't. This is what I mean. This isn't who I meant.
Oh God.
Not like that. Not like that.
Jesus,
not
Alan.
like this.
No,
not like this.
No.
Alan took that in such a weird direction. Please continue.
Anyways, but you know what I mean, though. It's like, oh, that's that's unpleasant. Creepy. And then what is Starlet's power? I never really got a read on what she does.
I don't even remember.
Not either. I can look her up really quick.
Okay.
I'm going to assume.
It's not.
I'm going to assume Dazzler abilities from X-Men.
I thought she could like shoot like little like beams of lasers or that explode or something, which is I guess kind of what Dazzler is.
She fires explosives. Oh wait, she fires explosive darts of light.
So Dazzler, sweet.
So Dazzler,
the most useless of all the X-Men.
Excellent. Okay, cool.
I love that. I will say this is so funny. There is only one line under her personality in the wiki. It says, personality finds Bambina very funny.
Wow.
Okay.
I just thought
good to know.
So funny.
Like,
we don't need to know a goddamn thing about this 12-year-old, which it does say she's 12. Just that she finds Bambina very funny.
That's funny.
All righty. Well, in that case, any sniper? You want to talk about the sniper, Nick?
Oh, I brought up Contessa already. She's cool.
She was not the sniper.
I was going to say Contessa.
She wasn't the sniper.
Oh no.
She portals in
after.
Oh, she
does
portals
her
in.
thing
That's
and portals out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The sniper is up in the building firing at Rhyme.
I think it's funny.
I assumed it was the same person because then she just portals in with the doorman's power to get where she needs to be. But she takes out Rhyme.
Yeah.
Yes, but they were talking about the supernatural, like, I don't know, calculations and stuff, which very much could be her. The vibe I got was this was a 2-prong attack.
Oh, it was the number man, probably.
The number man, because they talk about like he's the ricocheting bullets and
he has good,
seems very much.
I will say, so we've talked a lot on this podcast about how Coil's sniper would solve a lot of problems. But we do see that here. Like we do see the number man, who of all people would be a good sniper to have to take care of people. And like it's definitely a problem. Like he definitely poses a threat, but not in the way that like we've talked about snipers being used. And I think that's kind of cool that like that is something we have talked about quite a bit. And then like, whoop, there's a sniper and it didn't work as well as we would have.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all.
You know what it kind of reminds me of is have you guys seen any clips of Grandpa Gaming?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yes.
He's a grandpa, pretty sure ex-military, older guy.
Yes.
Streams
Ex-sniper.
Battlefield. Yeah, ex-sniper. Streams Battlefield, right? Which is like one of the more realistic shooter games.
Yeah.
He is crazy good at sniping, like across the map kind of things. And because it's Battlefield, they're huge maps, right? Like he sees a dot on the edge. He's like, all right, I mark that guy. Like everybody watch out. Like he's kind of the scout, but then he just pops people who are not moving and fast enough. Fantastic. And it's incredible.
And then just laughs.
And then he just laughs. It's great. Yeah. Plug for Grandpa Gaming. It's fantastic.
Oh, he's great.
I'll have to look him up. I love snipers.
Who doesn't love snipers?
I like to play a sniper in Borderlands too. I think it's fun.
I mean, and in most shooter games, there's not much more of a satisfying feeling than getting a headshot on one of your friends.
Yeah.
I don't know. Shotgun to the back of a camping bitch is also pretty nice.
I mean, okay. You know what? Next, we did a tier list on our Patreon. Next tier list has got to be most satisfying video game weapons to use. Gravity hammer is definitely high up there.
Oh,
that's what I would say.
I thought you were going to suggest that we just stream us playing Halo.
That's
and
what I thought
just
you were going to say,
wiping
which
the
I
floor
would
with
love
us.
that. We can watch Hannah spin in
Do you want to
circles
stream that kind of
and shoot
embarrassment?
at the sky.
Yeah, that's what I was
I don't know if
That's very embarrassing.
If we Twitch stream that, I don't think Twitch will allow that kind of violence.
I know.
Watch us get slaughtered on Twitch.
By Nick.
It'd be brutal.
No, I'm not that good. I am not Grandpa Gaming, in fact.
Yeah, but we are worse than average.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right.
You're forgetting our elite levels of skill. All right, 23.3.
Yeah, 23.3. Okay, so chapter 3, Taylor goes to confront Glenn, talk a little bit about the restrictions that have been placed on her, and finds out when the restrictions will be lifted. It's 18 when she's an official adult, and has like proven herself within the rules they've given her. She offers to make costumes for them to be helpful, gets mail from the Undersiders, and designs her costume in her little sketchbook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about before with the Taylor kind of getting a piece of humble pie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because she comes in with such a judgmental view of Glenn. And to be fair, he doesn't sound like maybe the best guy. But she comes in with all these preconceived notions about who he is and what he's like.
Mm-hmm.
Only to come to find out he's one of the people who advocated for her to join in the first place. And he came up with these compromises to make everybody happy enough to let her join.
Yeah. And she's just like throwing it back in his face.
Yeah. And it reminds me of that Key and Peele sketch where he's like, oh, no, I'm not persecuted. I'm just an asshole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that Taylor's completely in the wrong. I get where she's coming from in part, but
yeah, but like it's so obnoxious that she's like, oh, I don't understand why you won't let me like use my full potential. Like, bitch, you've been a supervillain who ran a city. They're not gonna trust you after like one fucking week in jail. Can you calm down, please? Like,
yeah, Taylor teenager is showing.
Yeah, your teenager is showing, Taylor.
I have every time I read this, such mixed feelings on Glenn.
Yeah. Oh, same.
Everything about him. And yet somehow, despite him being just irritating to read, I mean, even his clothing description and hair, like, ugh.
His little mohawk. That's so funny. It's so funny. I can't.
Just that everything about him irritates me. Somehow I don't like him, but I tolerate him way more than I do a lot of other characters.
I feel like he has he's like he gets all this like weird levels of respect where people like everyone listens to him. While they do it begrudgingly, like everyone listens to him. He has all of these like college interns running around fetching him, venti.
Because he's just Devil's Wears Prada.
Yeah, he's got fashion designer vibes for sure.
Yeah,
like RuPaul's Drag Race winner kind of vibes.
Yes.
Maybe that's why.
Well, but but I love it though. Like I love that that Taylor sees him and then sees herself, and she considers herself like he's the guy who only cares about like what's happening in front of a camera. Like he only cares about the PR, and I'm on the ground. Like I know what's going on. I was like, bitch, you as much as you think you do, you really don't know all that much. So like maybe shut up and sit down and realize that like he's trying to do you a favor here, and he's trying to see like it's all a test. Like all of this is a test to see how you respond under pressure, to see how you respond when you're given orders. Like, can you follow through? And you've proven very quickly with only 2 trips that you simply cannot, because you were told you're not allowed to use stinging, biting bugs. And she uses a biting bug to bite Bambina, even though she was strictly told you can't use them. And she's, oh, well, and he's like, no, it's been a test since the beginning, Taylor. Like, since the beginning.
I do love too the outside perspective where he's just like, she's like, I don't get it. And he's like, hang on a second. Let me like roll the clip, you know, he pulls up the clip of her attacking the PRT.
So good.
And just she looks at it and she's like, oh, I get it.
Oh,
okay. It's like, that's me. Oh, ooh. Yeah.
And much like I do love interludes where we see Taylor from someone else's perspective. Like I really enjoyed the Brian interlude because we got to see the way that that Taylor moves and operates, and like how she, you know, she looks and hears and responds to things that aren't there and stuff like that. And like I loved seeing that little piece of insight into her from Brian's perspective. And we're getting that again with Glenn here, and like through the security footage and her realizing like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize I even moved like that, or like tactics that I hadn't ever taught myself that I do. Like, I love that insight of like her realizing that. It's that slice of humble pie coming in, and it's about time.
It's about time for her, yeah. And I think that's why I tolerate Glenn more by the end, because at first he does come across as pretty rude, but by the end you realize, okay, still rude, but like you're doing good work too. And it's always interesting to me too. I think Taylor has a tendency to look very harshly on regular humans who work with parahumans, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Like very harshly towards Piggott, obviously harshly towards Tag, for good reason there at least. Right. Very harshly towards Glenn and a bunch of other people. It's just a really interesting thing to me because she's always like, you know, and we've talked about that before, that pride of her being like, well, you know, parahumans are just kind of better than regular people. And it's like, you know, like, yes, literally in one sense you are better, but sometimes that feels like a value statement too of like, oh, it's not just because I'm, you know, I have superpowers. Like I'm just a better person than you because I'm a parahuman.
Yeah. It feels like she sees the normies in like one of 2 categories. Either they are stupid, regular, normal people who need to be saved from themselves or from the bad guys, which she's like more than willing to like step up and be the hero. Or they're in a position of power and she looks at them with like, you don't really know how it actually is because you're not one of us. Like they fall into one of those 2 categories. And it's like, either you look at them as you're going to be the hero and come in and save them, or you look at them with disdain. Like, girl, we need to rethink a little bit here.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that her therapy sessions with Miss Yamada is going to help with that.
Always hope. Meanwhile, she's as much as I don't like Glenn, I love Chevalier.
Hell yeah. Chevalier saves the day.
There's a reason he is the big boy in charge now.
Yeah, he's cool.
All that, you know, all I'm saying is the one man who's not overcompensating. Just matching the energy. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. It's true. He's got big cannon energy.
Oh, yeah.
You can take that Chevy to the levee any day. If you know what I mean.
I do.
I see what you did there. Atlas. We get an Atlas statue going through the letters.
Rip.
You know, I thought from what I remembered him before, like he kind of he goes out, you know, tragically, and reading this, he did get the respect paid to him that he deserved. It still was, a shame to have him die off camera, but
what a good boy.
I'm glad they cast him.
We just got to give one last shout out. Fuck you, Amy.
God
yeah,
damn
fuck
it.
Amy.
You piece of shit motherfucker.
I do want to make a meme.
What a goddamn bitch.
Because Atlas was overgrown. He had human intestines. Like, the dude was suffering. If anyone else is a fan of Sky Captain of the World Tomorrow, there's a horrifying scene about halfway through the film where the protagonist is interviewing like a dying prisoner. And the prisoner's like, just grant me one wish and I'll tell you what you want. He's like, what? And he's just like, kill me, because he's all in pain. Like, that's how I imagine Atlas went out. And like Tattletale said, oh yeah, he just died of natural causes. Meanwhile, it was 2 shots to the back of the head, like a mercy kill.
Oh my god!
Natural
like withering
mineral
away.
We'll have our own farm
somewhere.
with rabbits, Atlas.
Yeah.
I don't want to farm. I want you to shoot me.
End this, please.
I'll send you through the portal. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. I do love all the letters, just so full of personality.
Yes.
Imps. Just the ha 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 ha. What the fuck?
It's so good.
It's so good. Rachel's is beautiful.
Oh, I love it. I forgot Rachel couldn't read or write, so it makes sense that she has a scribe. Like,
here's the one thing that bothers me about it, though. I know that she said like she was writing fast because Rachel was talking fast. Maybe I think she said that, but
yeah.
Like, okay, Rachel can't read or write. Do we have to make her letter written by her scribe in like caveman speak? Like,
went through portal. Dog's good.
Yeah.
No, went through portal. Stop. It's like a telegram.
Yeah, basically. It's like,
stop.
Okay, like I know, the scribe says she was talking really fast, so I had to write really fast and cut some things out. But it's still funny to me of just like, yes, Rachel can't read or write. Dog's good. We in portal hunt good. It's like, okay.
Hunt good.
Sweet Davy Crockett, Rachel.
Which, yeah.
The bison. It's so
with the
funny.
bison.
Oh my gosh. And her
Rachel,
like fur muff guy.
Rachel Lynn, Queen of the Wild Frontier.
Which this is pulling from the future interlude, but I do love the outside perspective. Somebody looks at Rachel and is like, male, female? Not sure.
Giant dog.
Giant dogs. Scary, male, female? One of the two, not sure.
I love it.
All right.
So good.
Yeah. Moving on.
23.4, Yamada.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Why are we here? Oh, hell no.
Taylor meets with Miss Yamada, excuse me. She is single. Talks about.
I trust me. I am very aware.
No, I'm
very
sorry.
aware. Every time I read Ms. Yamada.
No, I just in my notes I had said Mrs. So I was mentally fixed. Anyways, talks about her fears. The wards go to visit a high school, and Taylor invents Weaver dice, and then comes Behemoth.
Oh baby.
God, I don't know what else there's to say. I love Miss Yamada. Her doing the therapy with she does once again. She needs to take better care of herself. That's why she's showing up late to therapy sessions. She's probably not eating healthy, and I get she does so much. She's giving so much of herself. Once again, Yamada, you gotta get locked in. You gotta take care of yourself so that you can take care of others.
Take care number one, so you can take care of everyone else.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love a good therapy session. I love a little bit of introspection. Taylor is so much of the leader mentality. She's got 18 million things going on at once in her head. I like that Ms. Yamada really pushes her to I feel statements and where are you actually? What do you want out of this? I thought her questions were really good to make Taylor think about her current position. Think about what she needs, what she wants, how she wants to move forward in her, new Cape career. I just thought more therapy. More therapy.
Yeah.
Just a general PSA.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah.
And then they go to school. And
bless her. Back to this. Bless Miss Yamada for realizing they're like, Taylor mentioned that she really likes to run and that she feels really restless. Maybe sitting in an office ain't the way. Let's take a walk. Like, bless.
And I just want to shout out, too, that I feel like Miss Yamada is one of the first characters to be an absolute straight shooter with Taylor.
Yeah,
in the sense of like, all right, Taylor, before we begin, let me give you my options. I'm offering you therapy. As your therapist, here's what that would look like. Here's the pros, here's the cons. Which is exactly what Taylor needs, right?
Yes.
Like literally nobody has done this with her pretty much at any point in her life, it feels like, at least in the story.
Yeah.
So I just appreciate that about her, that she has an immediate read on Taylor and is willing to be like, okay, in clear terms, here are the options for how I can help you. What do you want me to do for you?
Yeah.
So good. All right. Then they go to school. Yeah, I love that part. Talking to
she
kids.
starts. That's what the line is from. Why are we here? They begin talking, and she starts telling the powers. And Taylor says something and about drugs, and one of the capes I think goes, "Oh hell no!"
Yeah. It's that and the how much money did you make? And they're like, you don't need to know. And then Taylor goes 15 to 20 million. And one of the boys just goes,
sugar.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Oh,
it's just
no wonder you were a villain.
Yeah, it's
It all
just
makes sense.
bitch. Goddamn, making minimum wage over here is a ward.
Yeah, like I don't even get to see that money. That goes into a trust for a college fund.
Oh man.
It's a good little chapter. I like which group of wards is she with? It's with
Chicago ward?
Chicago.
Is this Chicago? Okay.
Chicago, baby.
No,
because it's Reynard and Goggle Boy,
you're
which are
right.
not Chicago.
She
don't know who they're with.
She gets paired with Chicago eventually, right?
Yeah.
Yes, in the behemoth fight.
Let me look it up.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It's in the behemoth fight because they're the group that, as Defiant says, well, they're the only group that wants you right now. So.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot
Fantastic. But yeah, wherever she is,
Boston. He's Boston.
Boston.
That's what it is. That's
of course,
Boston.
they're hanging out with the inner city kids.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And God, Weaver Dice is so interesting. It does feel a tad convoluted.
It does.
Like this almost feels like you'd expect a Kickstarter link at the end of this chapter for the Weaver Dice game if you were interested.
Yeah.
But convolution aside, I appreciate that everybody gives Taylor a chance to try to explain what she's really doing, which is showing that there are pros to being a villain, but there are really a lot of cons too that probably outweigh the pros, right? Like the one kid who's like, sweet, I got a bunch of money. And she's like, okay, you fight the heroes, beat them off. Ha, no pun intended. You fight the villains.
Blocker. Nice.
Yeah, clock blocker, nice. Then villains come to fight, and the kid's like, but wait, we're on the same side. And she's like, no, you don't get it. Villains aren't on the same side.
Like heroes are all on the same side, regardless of like who you are. But villains, you're against everybody. You're against heroes. You're against villains. You're against the, what are they called? The rogues. Like you're on your own.
Yep. Yeah. So it was cool. It's fun. It's always a fun chapter to like listen to and think through and imagine like, okay, what powers would you get? Poor kid who got the wind blowing powers. Like that kind of sucks.
Like a balloon. He has to like think about like that's so funny.
And he's lost his sense of direction. Like
yes. Like he has to interact. Like he has to get other people to help him when he's not actively like blowing himself away. So fun.
There's an old, I don't know if it's a comic or if it's just a character from Champions, since this is brought to my mind. But he's essentially like your Superman type character, except one of his things he carries is a map and compass, because as he's flying through New York City, he constantly has to be like trying to find which road he's on.
Oh, so in my mind, is the map just blowing in his face the whole time? Like he can't.
Well, he like flies, grabs it, and then like whips out the map, and then like sticks it back in, and then flies a little bit more. But yeah,
it's a great visual.
It's flapping against his face.
It's like trying to use the compass to straighten it out, you know?
Yeah.
Just as he's flying.
Keeps dropping it.
Yeah.
But then they're talking about this, and she's laying out all these things for the kids, which I love. I love somebody being a straight shooter with kids, telling it how it is. This is strong. I love, doing this at camp. This was a lot of fun, and even the tricking kids into playing D&D. I definitely have done that at least once, and they get really
once they start playing, they'll realize how much fun it is. But like,
oh yeah,
that's how you trap them.
They have a blast, especially if you simplify things. But then they're talking about the kids, about how many people survive, and they get the call in the middle of that. And I knew it was coming, but my gut physically dropped while reading it. Like, whoo.
Yeah. This is the section moving from here on till the end of the arc. This is the section I like to call Hannah cries because of the impending doom. I think I cry anytime we get into Endbringer stuff, because I know how many bodies are gonna fall, even if I don't know who we're gonna lose. Like, we got really lucky and we only lost some of the dogs last time, and I have no recollection of what happens next. But I know we can't, like, I know it's not possible for us to go through another Endbringer fight and not lose important people. And it makes me so sad. I think I just love the idea of all these people coming together, like all the capes coming together, regardless of whether they're heroes or villains. And like, well, we all understand that we're going to fight and die under a common cause, under a common enemy. And like, that just, that gets me. And like them talking about like capes 1 and 4 are going to die. And then immediately like, gets the call, like, and the kid's like, is that true? Like, is that really true that it's 1 and 4? And she's like, those are the odds they gave me when I fought, Leviathan. Like, bye. Like, and off she went, and these kids like having no idea, if any of these capes that they just hung out with are about to go to their death. Like, oh.
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
It's kind of, it's one of those things where like in the past couple arcs, it's kind of been talked about how, the capes or the protectorate and the villains there's sort of this unspoken understanding that it's a bit of cops and robbers where, everyone's kind of playing the same game. But then the Endbringers come in and just remind everyone that this isn't a game. Like, at the end of the day, they are just these terrifying creatures that are unstoppable. And it's just this end of the world apocalyptic-esque scenario that really throws a wrench in everything. And honestly, a lot of other superhero properties could stand to have a couple Endbringers in them. Like, Batman's breaking Joker out of Arkham, or Joker's breaking himself out of Arkham for like the 20,000th time. Batman, I'm gonna get you again, you stupid clown. And then it just Behemoth showing up would have just fixed a lot of my problems with the DC universe. Let's just say that.
Shots fired.
Well, and Behemoth is known as the hero killer too. So there's I don't know. With each of the Endbringers, they bring such an ominous moment to them, right? So with Leviathan, it was the whole. Well, you remember what happened to Newfoundland? Like, it's gone. And then the Simurf, you hear all about
Madison,
what she
Wisconsin.
does. Yeah, Madison, Wisconsin. And now we've seen briefly a fight with Behemoth already with Alexandria. But just even that name, like, oh, this is Behemoth. He's the hero killer. Like, the other two aren't. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Wait a second. What did he have to do to get that nickname when there's two other Endbringers around?
Yeah, 1 in 4 died against Leviathan, the weakest Endbringer.
Yeah.
And like, now introduce you to the hero killer. God.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty scary. Pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. And once again, just want to plug Sandara. Her fan art for Behemoth is spectacular. Fan art for all three is great, but the Behemoth one is particularly puts him in scale, and it's really good.
That Behemoth fan art is fantastic.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Yeah, terrifying.
Speaking of.
Yep. So chapter 5, the group flies to India. Taylor gets a jetpack. Love that. We meet with the Undersiders again. Little catch up. And watches the attack. And on the ground, she is put in command of the Chicago Wards, which is a little bit of a surprise, but also kind of a fun thing because she is one of the few that has been in 2 Endbringer fights, what we're calling Endbringer fights, if we're calling Noelle an Endbringer. Yeah, so technically she's fought 2 now, which puts her in a leadership role over the Chicago Wards.
Pretty cool.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh.
What 6 months does.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah. Man, the start. I love the back end of this chapter, but the front half, like, too much technical detail.
There is a lot. I did feel like this was this one and the interlude I got a little lost in, where I was like, okay, I'm kind of losing myself a little bit in the detail here.
Yeah.
I do like, just from personality and character development, I do really like the defiant conversations with Taylor. That part in this arc is good.
Thank you. Yes.
For this chapter.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Where he's like, basically, the jetpack is a gift. And it's like, most tinkers don't go out of their way to make tech for other heroes because then they got to maintain it. But basically what it comes down to is like, this is my way of saying sorry.
Yeah.
And he's defiant is growing on me as a character.
He is. He's learning to be a better man.
Since the beginning. Love this guy.
Nah, he gone.
Not since the beginning, but I do love him now.
Yeah, definitely not since the beginning.
If you can't handle him at his
at his worst, then you don't deserve him at his best. Is that
yeah? If you can't handle him at an arms master, then you don't deserve him at his arm master.
Put it on a shirt, baby.
Oh my god!
Let's go.
But that's good. And then I do love that the Chicago Wards want Skitter.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that moment of like, hey, you have a choice. Defiant's like, you have a choice. Chicago Wards want you.
Once again,
people are watching.
Yeah, that's awkward. But like, once again, it took them sitting down with her to like just, all they had to do was interact with her once at the Echidna fight to be like, oh yeah, she's not crazy.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the badass that won us the fight against the pseudo Endbringer? Yeah, we'll take her.
Yeah, like if she hadn't have been there, like, oh, she got 2 of your people or 1 of your people killed and the other like radiated. It's like, bitch, if she hadn't have been there, we would have all been radiated.
Yeah.
We all would have all been in half. Quite fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. And just I love so you got Tecton, who's we love Tecton back from that Echidna fight, and he still is like, yeah, she's cool. Like she's a good
she's a good egg.
She's a good egg. Yeah. And then Golem, who I remember who he is.
I know who he is.
I remember who he is.
It's like the one thing I remember.
Yeah, so technically a spoiler because it hasn't been revealed yet.
Is it Golem or is it just Gollum? Golem?
Well, the correct pronunciation is Golem for that word.
Yeah. Yes.
But Taylor misinterprets it as Gollum, which because I just love that Lord of the Rings exists in this universe.
Yeah.
Like that's just
great. Yeah.
Well, we established they may be a bleed over from the other one. We don't know.
Yeah, well,
that's true.
Either
they shared
way,
media.
They know about it, if nothing.
But
else.
technically, the big split did happen in 1980s. So
yeah, mid-80s.
to touch a fish. So juicy, sweet.
We're gonna cut that out.
Nope,
No, we're
we're gonna
not.
keep that.
That's
We're gonna
going. Put
amplify
that in the sound bites.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
gotta
gonna have
keep that
nightmares
one.
about that one.
That was amazing. Do it again.
What?
No.
What stages, precious?
No.
Yeah.
That was
I do love
amazing.
though. Poor Golem. She's like, wait, did you name yourself after the little freak from Lord of the? And he's like, no. Damn it! Every time.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Nobody
knows.
I'm thinking about changing my name.
Hebrew
Poor guy's like,
mythological
nobody
reference.
knows Jewish folklore, which is the biggest irony too, if you remember who he is.
Yes.
Which I love.
Also,
and I think
the
it's
biggest
purposeful.
irony that like most of these, they're going up against Behemoth and Leviathan. You know, two of the giant monsters from the Bible, the Old Testament at that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That's great.
Yeah, I like thinking he went out of his way to purposely pick a name within the same naming conventions that a lot of other capes use, right? And still everyone's ignoring him. Like, guys, I did this for you. Like, no.
I would have picked something else. I would have picked Hand Slammer if it were up to me.
Yeah.
Hand slammer. Well, we don't know that yet.
Allegedly.
We don't know what he does yet. Allegedly.
Hand Slammer's really going to give it away. Hand Slammer describes 50% of the people on their team.
See, if that's true, that is true. See, if Clock Blocker had been in charge of his name, he probably would have been called Stoner. But
Stoner. Okay, I like that a lot.
But you know,
that's great.
Anyways, I also do love the hot and cold thing. We talked about it briefly earlier, the categorization of India's heroes, where it's like, okay, I don't know much about Indian culture, and I'm basing this almost entirely off of Indian Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
But I'm like, that tracks. Like, that's a fun, basically it's like they're much more upfront about the game, basically, right? Where it's like, you've got the big flashy heroes and villains. Who will win today on this, Bollywood battle between, so and so and so and so.
Oh, you better believe there is a dance-off and musical number every fight.
Oh yeah. And then you've got the cold heroes who are like, oh no, those are the real like heroes and villains who are like, okay, they're going around murdering people and taking out bad guys or taking out good guys. So I love that differentiation, and I think that's such an interesting thing. And I don't know if there is any more culture to that I don't know, but I'd love to know more if there is.
It's interesting. One side is doing WWE wrestling, essentially, and the other side is killing each other.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's fun. And apparently the ones who died that as they were flying in were some of the hot heroes who were just like, we'll fight Behemoth. Oh shit.
Yeah. It's getting slaughtered.
It's all I imagine is just they're like,
great.
You know what it is?
Awesome.
I know I've made a lot of references, but the one that comes to mind is Spy Kids 3D, where it's the guy. Spoilers for a really old movie, but Elijah Wood comes in at the end as like the chosen one. Opens the door to the final boss and immediately gets zapped and killed.
It's so good.
Hannah knows about that. She just watched it.
I literally watched all three of the Spy Kids because the I watched all three of the Spy Kids last week when I was staying up till like 3 a.m. sewing, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Completely forgot how amazing the first one was, how hilarious the second one and how just weird balls to the walls the third one was.
Oh man. But yeah, that's
good shit.
That's what I imagine these heroes as, is they just they jump in, they're flashy, they're like, we're the heroes, we'll fight them. Oh god. And then they're dead.
Yeah.
Like they're like Glenn's chosen ones. He like loves them. They're like the front page heroes, but they are completely useless.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Glenn, it's almost like The Boys.
Better than that.
The Boys has a good depiction of this, where like the heroes go to help the plane. I mean, in the comic and in the show, and then they realize like, we don't know how to stop this plane. We can't help anybody, and then they just let it blow up. Essentially,
we are completely useless.
Yeah,
we can't do anything. And then in another moment, like spoiler for the comics, but there's an original lineup of heroes that they made back in like Vietnam or World War II or something. And they go out, of course, a dude flying in a cape and an American flag like up in the air, of course, is going to lead to everybody getting killed. Like he's not a trained soldier. Like all the heroes get instantly shot down so quickly.
Yeah,
because they're flashy and they're bright, and that's not what you need on an actual battlefield.
Yeah.
This is where Green Lantern bites it. If the Justice League were fighting, Green Lantern goes out very quick.
Famous clip of him trying to fight Darkseid, isn't that it?
The Parademon just beats the shit out of him.
Everybody needs to look that up if you haven't seen it.
In my continuous war against DC.
Apparently shots.
Apparently, Jacob's shooting shots.
They have
right
a lot
at DC.
to atone for.
Just
the fact that they gave Zack Snyder any creative rights is enough to warrant some punishment.
I do. Oh, what was it? Okay, then we got to talk about the Yongbon.
Yeah. Hold on. Are we watching that here, or are we gonna just talk about the Yongbon in the sort of Yongbon chapter?
What?
Well, they're introduced in this part, right? They watch them fighting.
True. Yeah.
They I guess a bit of the interlude. Did anybody catch that it was the time reversal power that we've seen already? Because I kind of forgot. I was like, oh, that's neat. I feel like I've seen that before.
But we can say who it is because it's literally revealed in the next thing.
It's Cody. He's alive.
Cody!
I was listening to the interlude while I was cooking dinner tonight before this. Yes, I did wait till the last minute. But I looked into the library where Alan was sitting, and I was like, "It's Cody!" And he was like, "I know, it's Cody."
Listen, the worm Mincha hit me hard with Cody. I was like,
so
Cody.
I thought he
Cody.
was
I've
so
heard that name
fucking
before.
dead. I was like,
Cody?
wait a minute, wait a stinking minute. I know who you are.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the person who did not get time reversed fast enough just gets to explode again, and that really sucks.
Oh man, a beam so nice you die to it twice.
Basically. But it is interesting to see a totally different philosophy of fighting, right? And I think that it's interesting that Taylor sees this, because I do feel like with her conversation with Miss Yamada about she says basically, oh, do you just think that if everybody thought like you, it would work out? And she's like, I don't know, maybe. And that's basically what the Yongbon are. Is it's like, no, everybody will think like us. We will fight as a unit. We're highly trained. We've seen the Yongbon before with Lung as well. So we know that they are very much about breaking down your psyche until you're part of the collective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it is interesting to see them. Yeah. And of course, the irony of the Protectorate's what's corrupt with the world is what the Yongbon's always said. And Taylor's like, well, they were kind of right, I guess.
Yeah. It's one of those American diabolism things where it's like, yes,
which
all the things you said about America are true, but that doesn't make the other person correct.
Exactly. Foreshadowing, though, that's a lot more true than we realize at this point. Because I do remember something that is related to that. But anyways, no spoilers, though.
Okay, no spoilies.
We can talk about it afterwards without Hannah.
Anyway, they touch down, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, she's meeting with the Undersiders," and she's like, "Ah, yes," and everybody's filming, of course.
Yes,
and she's like, "Oh, it's Weaver now." Lisa, of course, dead names her anyway. All the letters help except for imps. And then classic Taylor not getting. Oh, wait, hold on. I have classic Taylor not getting that D&D are together.
Oh, yeah. Dragon and Defiant?
Dragon and Defiant.
Yeah. He makes her way too long. She walks over, and Defiant has his arms he's wrapped around Dragon, and she has this moment where she's like, "Oh, they're together."
Together, yeah.
Which is just
Yeah, classic Taylor.
I love
giving off those.
much.
I get why some people give off like this. She's ace. She's so ace she doesn't even recognize it. But I go with just she's so bi she turns ace. It's a horseshoe theory kind of thing.
Well, and I will say though, it's probably hard to catch the sexual chemistry between a robot
and another
pet.
robot. Yeah. Did you say her pet?
What?
Oh,
you're not wrong.
Wait. How many times do you think she's like, "All right, Colin, I'm about to insert this in you," and he's like, "Yeah, put it in me," and then she like solders in another microchip into his head.
Yeah, I was gonna say attaches a mechanical arm.
But which head, Alan? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I immediately apologized. I'm so sorry.
This is so funny.
Reminds me of an old shitty "Don't mess with the Zohan" line, which is like, "Are you bionic? No, I only like the ladies."
Anyways.
Anyhow.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Working around Behemoth, I love that this is a new dynamic of fighting where you can't even get close to him. It is only ranged attacks. It reminds me a lot of working around power lines where like if you're within 10 feet, it can just start arcing just because you're too close.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah, he's just got like, and how it's like a lot of room too. Like it's 100 feet or something like that. They're like
100 feet at minimum.
Yeah,
is what they say. Yeah,
minimum approach distance.
That's quite a range.
Far
back.
Also, don't forget that Taylor also had to pop the radiation pills.
Oh yeah.
Because let's not forget that bundle of popcorn. That's just it's like so.
Yeah, we've been watching Heroes recently, and slight spoilers, but radiation plays a part in there. And let me tell you, but everybody in that show should be dying of cancer.
They should be. I watched Chernobyl. I know how that works. You don't get to walk away from that shit. Like, what? Yeah. We're fucked. Is my point. We're fucked.
Yeah. Also, of course, we get to this point where like the Chicago wards are the ones that want her. So my note says Chicago wards want you. Go sit with them.
Go sit with them.
Then all capitals, Golem. And then so excited that she is the veteran and she gets to lead them into battle.
Which is nice. It feels like after all the hoops she's had to jump through this arc, all the restrictions they put on her. It's like, we're going up Behemoth. Yeah, go all out, chick. Like, go off, queen. Like, have a good time. Lead your people. Make it happen. Let's go.
It's swarming time.
It's swarming time, baby.
But again, it's also like, I like the comparison with the lung fight, right? Where she's looking at Behemoth in the distance, the one glowing red eye, and she's just like, what do I even do here?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah. What can she do? She's practically useless in so many ways.
Yeah. I mean, her primary power is useless as any sort of offensive attack against him. Yeah. It's just her strategy here.
It's like Mary Poppins is practically perfect in every way, but Taylor's practically useless in every way.
Yeah.
In every way that counts.
Well, and that's why it's such a fun little setup for the next arc, because obviously things are about to go down, but you're thinking about who she's with. We don't know too much about the Chicago Wards' power set yet, but like...
Yeah, Tecton might be useful.
Yeah, a little bit. And then you think about the Undersiders, because she wants to meet up with them. They're all useless against Behemoth. Like,
yeah,
you get
at least the eyes on it, and that's about it.
Yeah, good luck, Regent, trying to trip him up. That's not going to work. So,
yeah, Regent's really, really fucking useless there.
Imp going to sneak up on him? Yeah,
useless.
Yeah, well, and that's why they're on the search and rescue squad of just like we're just trying to evacuate the city and as many people as we can.
At that point, like Imp and Regent are useless again because it's like search and rescue. Anybody could do search and rescue. They're not special. Where's the National Guard?
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
Well, also it's India, so no National Guard.
Where's the Indian National Guard? They got something. What I'm saying is where are the normal people that just have vests on running around? Where are the UN? Where are those peace
the UN? Yeah.
Where's the Peace Corps? All right.
All right. Do we have any other thoughts for our final chapter, or shall we move on to the interlude?
Interlude.
Barely know her.
It's Luden time.
It is indeed. We follow number 36, which is revealed to be Cody, as he was sold by Accord to the Yangban. Fights with the Yangban against Behemoth. He spots the ambassador, sees Accord, realizes that now is his time that he can take his revenge. Sneaks off, and then in a moment of just like absolute codiness, cuts down Chevalier, and then Accord, and then Tattletale, and just fucks it up, right? Just so good at just fucking shit. Can he just be dead now?
You made me very mad.
Made me very mad. Cut down some kind of important people.
Yeah, first of all, how dare you try to cut down Chevalier?
And then the guy who has all the plans, and then also the girl who has all the plans. Like what?
Yeah.
My man, your timing fucking sucks, bro.
It's pretty rough, yeah. It's what's interesting though, to me is that, we haven't talked about this in a while, but the Simmer's long-term effects.
Yeah.
And that whining in his head is just a throwback to that whole interlude, right? And so having that shown once again is like, oh, this was like what he was destined for in a way. It's just really interesting. And of course, like disturbing. You're like, oh, that's not good.
No, it's not. Just bad timing all the way around. Which I guess, yeah.
It's, like, what are you
it's the Simmerf's timing,
Yeah, exactly.
Simmerf does
it's the best timing for the Endbringers.
Right, of course. But for us poor normies, not so great.
No.
Really liked seeing his involvement with the Yangban and the way they all move and sync and think and sync. We kind of already mentioned it, but his perspective of it was really interesting. How he is like, he kind of cares for the one member, I forget her name.
23.
The one he's sleeping with.
Yeah. But still, it's not really. It's more just like he wants to save her to do kind of a favor, but it's like very much this means to an end for him. And how it's played off like the Yangban are using him and his power, but the whole while he's just trying to find a way to get to this point. And then he gets there, and Tattletale kind of pulls the rug out from under him because he's like, where the hell is Trickster? It's like, oh, he's in prison, and the rest of your team is not in this.
No, she says he's dead. She lies to him.
Yeah, she lies to him.
Yeah,
she tells
that's right. She tells him he's
dead. Noelle ate him.
You're right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Tells him he's dead and your team's gone. Like, you can't get your revenge. Sucks to suck.
Sucks to suck, bitch. Also, I love when Tattletale pulls out the, like, what would she think? And he's like,
She's like, wait, who?
She.
Yeah.
Which she are you? Or do you mean? And Tattletale's
You
like,
look like
I
an
don't
angry, straight little white boy.
know. I don't know. I figured
Yeah.
there was probably a she, so I, just threw it out there.
Good shot in the dark.
Yeah.
And it almost
God
worked.
damn it, Tattletale.
It does kind of work. Like he still hurts her, but he lets her
He lets her
complete
give
her
herself
tracheotomy.
Yeah. Oh God. I will say, reading that bit, I did think to myself that if I was in that situation, I used to know how to be able to do a tracheotomy, and I actually don't remember anymore. And now I kind of want to look it up and make sure I know how to do it if it ever were to, occur. Like I know you use a pen and you use, or the hollow bit, the casing bit, but I can't remember exactly where you're supposed to cut and insert.
Yeah, I'm just dead in that scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
trying to, just end up slitting my own throat. Just like, I can't.
Yeah.
Just try to figure it out.
Like you're scrambling for a pen. You finally find one. You're like, finally, yes.
You just
stab it into
in.
your carotid. You're like, finally, I can die.
I was gonna go. You forget to take the pen apart, so you just stick it in your trachea, and you're like, "Why isn't it working? I forgot to hollow it out."
Windpipe crushed and drowning in ink now.
Yeah.
Blood. No.
Everyone likes to think about how they would work if how well they'd do if they had powers, and in these universes, I'd be dead so fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I have.
Yeah.
Isn't that like anyone who watches a zombie apocalypse show?
Yeah.
Any white Republican, like, no, if it was me, bro, I'd totally like. I would have. I think you could.
I think you could take that further. That's just a lot of white guys.
Well, I mean,
that's
the
like
terrorist takes
when
over the plane, and they're like, "No, I would have totally like."
They
landed
invade
that
my
plane.
sanctuary in the middle of worship.
There's a survey of like men ages 20 to 45 from a bunch of different countries on
Yes.
their confidence in beating an animal in a fight.
Oh yeah.
And it was
Yes.
something like 15% of American men believe they could beat a bear in a one-on-one fight.
I kind of want to put them all like in an arena and be like, all right, prove it.
You're like, wait, hang on a second.
Hear me out. I've got a new Discovery Channel show or History Channel, whatever.
Man versus bear.
It's man versus bear, and it's nothing but every episode is different competitions in which the men will compete against the bear. One will be doing dishes, cooking a meal, swimming.
You don't get any time to prep either. Like we're
Neither
in your
does the
house
bear.
with
That's the
cameras.
thing.
The bear.
Neither does the bear. Like that matters.
Nick, don't ruin the spirit of this.
Spirit of
I'm
this
sorry,
amazing-
Alan. I didn't mean to ruin the spirit of
It's
anything.
his like winning golden
The bear
idea.
is also put in a prop plane and with something the controls they gotta they gotta land the plane and then also the guy is stuck in a plane going down because all the guys think that
here's
they can land
everything
planes.
on Twitter that you said you thought you could do.
Yes, you understood. That is exactly.
We're
what
gonna
we'll
do it immediately right now.
It's Mythbusters just with a bear.
Oh my god!
Now I'm
I
imagining
love
like
it
the
so
worst
much.
possible trigger in Worm would be like
Oh no!
you trigger and you get 50-50 odds versus any animal in the world. That's your superpower.
And every time a mosquito bites you, you're just.
Oh no! That would suck.
I'm also thinking too of I'm thinking of the name of the show. It's just like white guys versus everything.
Nick, that's what it's always been.
Oh my
It's
god!
just like we've done a deep dive into your Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook accounts. Here's everything you said was a wimp, easy, or not that hard. You're gonna do it today.
Welcome, Jerry. So if you step into the living room over here, we have a tiger. Yes, a full-grown tiger that you said you would whoop like a bitch-ass pussycat. Now, we'll give you headgear, and you know what? You get a knife. How about that?
Oh, I was gonna be like, you can pick something in this room that you would like to use as a weapon.
Kitchen drawer.
Like you can take like a little, like one of those fireplace pokers if you want. Like that's you can, one of the items in the room. And good luck.
If you want more content like this, join us on Patreon.
Oh yeah, it's nothing but this. All right, my one note about this interlude. I hate this interlude. I hate this interlude.
Alan, isn't that always your note about the interlude?
Actually,
no.
Yeah.
There's some that I love.
I
hate this interlude. I hate this interlude so much. Like on every level.
I mean,
I don't like Cody. I don't like being
Cody.
in his head. I don't like the events that take place. That's all in universe. Outside of universe, I think this is maybe the weakest chapter written.
In the entire book?
Yes, and here's why. Almost every interlude does a pretty good job, I think, of portraying the character's personality and perspective as we go through. And while this one does a pretty good job of him rehashing things in his head according to his power, he just can't let things go. He repeats stuff. He is thinking about things in the way he repeats that. I think this is the weakest interpretation of a power as thinking that we have had. I don't think his thought process is interesting. I don't think it's unique to his, it's all that unique enough to warrant oh, I know who this character is just by the way they're thinking, which I feel like I can do with almost every one of the other interludes. I just, and I'll be honest, the more I thought about it while we were talking now, I feel like if I were going to bullshit some diagnosis, this whole arc feels like Wildbow is really tired, and that this is maybe like some donation interlude, or just he had to write an interlude, and they just I do feel like they kind of got more and more with the jumping around and how disjointed this whole arc is. It's just, I feel like he got really tired writing. And at the end here, it really slips up for some reason.
Interesting.
That's probably me just reading into it, because this also has some of my favorite moments, just some all-time, the Weaver Dice one. Love that chapter. Because it's got Yamada and the Weaver Dice. I love all the people talking about her, in front of her, all the different, meeting with the different groups. But there's so much I don't like, and this interlude is going to go down as my most hated chapter in Worm of all time.
Okay.
That's a hot take.
I don't think it serves. We've talked about this on the other one. I don't think this chapter serves any damn purpose.
Well, it kills off the cord. That's pretty important.
I mean, why? Why do we even need that? It's just it feels, and like I said, this is more for the writing it side in the Worm show. Why does it even need to happen? Why does Cody even need to live? No purpose to it. I hate it. 6 Ways to Sunday. But I've said my piece now.
You've heard it here.
All right.
Well, if there's no more thoughts on the interlude, shall we do favorite powers?
Yeah, we got a few here.
Yeah, we've got some interesting ones.
We have a lot of powers, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Want to limit it to favorite new powers that we haven't discussed before?
I really like. Is it 13th hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like 13th hour. I think.
What is it? What does he do again?
13th hour is a she. And
sorry. That's the one I really don't remember that one.
She causes a flash of light, I think, that puts everybody, including herself, into a trance.
Yeah.
Taylor
uses the bugs to try and get everybody to come back out of it.
That's right. Yeah. Powers with downsides are very interesting.
Yeah. So it feels like a time manipulation, but it's really just their perception of time is thrown off. time isn't actually warping.
Yeah. But she uses like a little, it's like is it a watch?
I think it's a pocket watch.
I think it's a pocket watch. But she uses it as like her totem or whatever, in her like witchy, magic-y, spelly.
Yeah, because the adepts are all like magicians and like mages and wizards. Yeah. The adepts. Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I'm still a little salty about that one. But yeah, no, I think she's really cool. I like her power. Like it affects her too, but I think it's cool.
You know what I will say too on that point? Adept is one of those words that looks cooler than it sounds. Just saying. Visually, just anyways. So like reading worm, like you may not think about it, but you say the word adept and you're like, ugh, kind of the adepts. Ugh.
When you say an adept sounds cool, when you say the adepts, it sounds like a bunch of losers in school.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, the adept.
Like, oh, he's an adept. You're like, oh, wow.
You ride the adept bus?
Oh, I was to say I was thinking more like, oh yeah, if you're an adept, it's like, oh, you're learning magic, and it's like, oh, it's the adepts. You're like, what a bunch of chumps.
Yeah. Anyways, I really find August Prince's power fascinating. It's similar in that way of like a stranger kind of weird power, similar to 13th Hour, where it's like he takes away your will to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you literally, Taylor tries multiple times, send a bug at him. No. People are like, we just can't get close to him. Like we can't stop him from hurting you. And it's such this like slow, inevitable fear that I think is such an interesting power. As an idea, right? Kind of like Hatchet Face was mentioned a long time ago, as he has a nullifying range where if you got too close to him, your powers just stopped working, whatever they were.
Mm-hmm.
And August Prince feels, unless it's August Prince, who knows? But August Prince feels very, very similar to that, which I think like anti-powers are kind of interesting. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. I will second that. August Prince was also mine. I really like stranger powers. And like you said, nullifying powers are really fun. There's a stranger power we'll get to in Ward one day that I also enjoy that, has very much similar vibes. But August Prince, like you said, is just, you go to attack him, you just can't find it in yourself. And all he has to do is like walk up, push you over, and start like poking you in the eye.
That's good. I do want to give a shout out. I'm interested. I don't remember all their names, but Null, I think, who's the leader of the Yangban. And he's the one who makes the Yangban possible.
Yeah.
That was going to be.
That is really interesting to me too.
My whole vote was the Yangban.
Sorry, you're so far from your mic. I think
you sound very far away.
Oh, I might have knocked it. Has that come back a little bit?
Much better.
Ayo.
I did knock it a little bit.
Welcome back, Jacob. You were so out of the room just a second ago.
Yeah, my vote was also for the Yangban, kind of just in general, but just the way they're organized. I find the power sharing, because it's a combination of power sharing in which their powers are weakened, and then I forget what the name of the one of them is that boosts all of their powers. So they share the boost, which strengthens all of their powers and kind of overcomes the weakening. Just a really fun sort of mesh of powers that allows them to work together. Love reading about how they operate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that was everyone. I think
got through it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got favorite powers. We got our what the fuck Taylor in this episode.
We did.
Couple technical difficulties, but it was good.
Hey, they don't know that now. They do.
No, I'm definitely gonna have to say that there was no way we made good transitions.
Michael, don't you mean ad breaks?
We'll try.
You know what you mean? Thanking the patrons.
Yeah,
which we definitely did in those
like
many.
Speaking of which, we'd like to thank our patrons for helping us again for helping make these episodes possible. We really love having the support and the feedback and getting to make fun little random patron exclusive episodes for you guys. If you want to check them out, hear us shooting the shit, playing fun games, you should consider joining up. We've got a couple different tiers, and we really appreciate it. All of that support goes straight into covering fees for our recording stuff and to paying Michael, our producer, because this podcast would not be possible without Michael and viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Links in the description. Brockton Bay BC.
We have a Discord. You can hop in the Discord.
You could join us.
We've been talking about superhero RPGs and talking about our very first video games we ever played and stuff. I mean, we're on there fairly often. You should come chill and shoot the shit with us.
Yes. Amen. Amen. And even if you can't be a patron, thank you for listening.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Means a lot.
It's awesome. Please
feel free to leave a comment or to reach out to us and let us know. This is we like doing this. This is fun, and we like
really fun
interacting with you guys. It's also very fun.
I've been really enjoying making the Patreon content.
We've definitely been having fun.
Oh yeah, we have.
Too much fun, maybe.
Some of it has nothing to do with Worm.
Oh yeah, like
a 3-hour argument over
Fuck,
which
Mary kills. And,
I would say those were very much to do with Worm. I was thinking the 3-hour arguments over which mouse versus which rat would win.
Versus rat.
I mean, we got to be honest, right? Like half of our podcast has nothing to do with Worm.
That's true. That's true.
Which, in fact, is the most Worm thing you can do.
and is the most book club thing you can do. So I feel like we fit right in.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap this up. I can't think of a better way to end the episode. Any final thoughts? I'll throw it out.
I'm trying to come up with a fuck, marry, kill that involves Glenn.
No.
I'm trying to end this before you do.
End it.
Sometime.
Glenn Ticket Tag.
Michael! Michael, play us out!
Cut the feed!
Thank you so much for listening. Read along with us at parahumans.wordpress.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you love? What did you hate? Anything you think we missed, etc., as long as it's kind. If you'd like to get in touch, you can find us on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit at Brockton Bay BC, or click the link in the description.